SEO is free traffic. I mean, you can do paid ads, social media, email marketing, it all works, but SEO is free. Been doing this ever since, helping people tap into that free traffic from search engines or LLMs, wherever people are searching, trying to get you that visibility.
Is there a certain profile that you look for, a certain type of industry?
I like local businesses or e-commerce. With SEO, it all comes down to the competition. The more competitive the keywords are, the more time it's going to take to rank.
How have you adapted and changed and evolved with this whole new AI SEO?
AI hasn't changed too much the fundamentals of SEO. It's changed how people search and how people engage with search or LLMs, but the fundamentals of SEO are still pretty much the same.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Andres Figueira and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And today with me here, I am speaking with Brandon Leibowitz, owner of SEO Optimizers, an agency that's helping companies increase their organic website traffic using search engine optimization strategies that actually work. So with that said, Brandon, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on today.
No problem at all. And just so that we can hit the ground running, Brandon, would you be able to tell us a bit more about how you became the owner of SEO Optimizers? Maybe what was the idea that sparked the beginning of this agency and maybe what it does in your own words?
I just kind of fell into the digital marketing world after I graduated from college. Got my degree in business marketing back in 2007. And one of the first jobs I was offered was doing SEO, which I didn't really know much about it. They don't really teach you that. Well, back then they didn't really mention that in college. And I told the company that and they said, don't worry, we're new to this as well. And we're going to learn with you and take you to classes and workshops and seminars. And after I did that for a few months, I just kind of realized that everyone is probably going to have a website in the future. SEO is free traffic. And I was like, who doesn't want free traffic? I mean, you can do paid ads, social media, email marketing, it all works, but SEO is free. And that got me thinking, let me just stick with this SEO thing. And over the years, I worked at different advertising agencies as a director of SEO. And before work, after work, and on my lunch breaks, I'd work on my own company and eventually built that up to where I was able to quit my job and been doing this ever since, helping people tap into that free traffic from search engines or LLMs, wherever people are searching, trying to get you that visibility.
Wow, that's amazing. And about how long was it that you quit your other job and started to be the entrepreneur for this company that you created?
I took the safer route and was happy to have a full-time job after college and pick up a few freelance clients here or there. So I was doing more freelance work. And then probably 10 years into it, I realized that I'm making more than I'm doing at these agencies, and that I should probably, if I just dedicate more time to doing my own thing, I could just keep building it up and scaling it up. So I did more the safer route because a lot of people just jump ship right away, and I could have done that, but then it runs the risks. Like back in 2020 when the world shut down, I had a lot of local clients that were local businesses that just had to completely shut down, and losing a lot of business there was rough, but luckily I had enough of like e-commerce and other types of businesses that I was okay. But if I just jump ship right away, then it's the pros and cons. Some people do it and are successful, but I just did the longer route where I was just happy to have a full-time job after college and making some extra passive income on the side.
And Brandon, in terms of the clients that you manage with SEO Optimizers, is there a certain profile that you look for, a certain type of industry or any type of pattern the clients you have, or do you just take on anyone?
Not anyone for the most part, but if I like local businesses or e-commerce, but if you're just selling like t-shirts, then I'm gonna be like, well, we're competing against Amazon and Target and Walmart, and it's gonna be very competitive. So you have to have something niche about you, something unique that differentiates you, because with SEO, it all comes down to the competition. The more competitive the keywords are, the more time it's going to take to rank. So I have people that come to me saying like, hey, I just started something where it's just hyper competitive, where they're selling against big corporate national brands. And I want to be realistic with people and let them know, like, realistically, we could target these keywords, but it's going to take a while to be able to rank for them. If you could find something unique that differentiates yourself to help niche down, then it'll move up much faster because SEO is not immediate. It does take time to build trust. That's the one thing that takes the most time is search engines and LLMs just don't trust anybody. And building that trust is not something you do over time. And the more competitive these industries are, the more time it takes to build that trust because Google's like, we trust Walmart, we trust Amazon, but how do we trust you? And to be able to build the trust that some of these big brands have built takes a long time or a lot of money invested into that building brand, your name and authority.
And now that you mentioned it, then your clients are mostly local, so within the United States, but have you ever taken on clients internationally from other countries or anything like that?
Yep. So I have clients in all over the world, as long as you speak English. So like one of my past clients, they did tours of Berlin in Germany, but they were mainly focused on English speakers because they wanted people traveling from other countries to check out the tours. So I was able to help them out. But if it's in a foreign language, I won't really be able to help too much because with SEO, it's also a lot of content, writing articles, doing blogs, and also keyword research. Like try to figure out what keywords do people search for that have buyer intent in English. I'm able to figure that out. But if it's in a foreign language, it's going to be tough to navigate through that. But I have clients, like one of mine, they have villas in St. John. So helping them rank for that, or as long as it's in English, all good.
And Brandon, can you tell us about any certain strategies that you've applied with SEO for a certain company? You know, like we don't need names, but just something that really worked out for you that went really well in terms of a campaign or something like that you can maybe use as an example?
Every website is different, but usually I see kind of similarities of issues that most websites have. One client that I have that is kind of a unique one. They've had a website for over 25 years. They've had it. So there's a lot of trust built in that website. Search engines trusted it, but the website was built in a way that was not easy to read and understand those keywords. So I went in, cleaned up the code, built out new pages, added more content to all the pages, which is things I see that most websites don't have a lot of pages or don't have content on a lot of pages. So building that out, building a robust website, and really narrowing it down. They were a leasing company for cars. So we made pages for all the different types of cars they leased from like Toyota or Mercedes and Lexus, and then breaking it down by individual models. Because the way people search is they're going to search for the make or the model. And if you have a page that targets that specific make and model, you become relevant to Google, and the person that's searching is going to be like, this is exactly what I was looking for. But in the past, they just lumped everything together and it was tough to navigate through, not a good user experience. And by doing that, they shot up to the first page of Google pretty much in like a month. But they were the rarity where they had a website for over 2 decades. Most people I come to work with, they have brand new websites. And that's where we also have to build the trust. And trust comes through backlinks, getting other websites to talk about you. The more third-party sites that talk about you or mention you, the more popular you seem to search engines, the more trust you're going to get, and that gets them to move you up those rankings.
This leads into part of the conversation that was inevitably going to come, and that is then AI. How have you adapted and changed and evolved with this whole new, I call it like AI SEO, that it needs to be like you need to be talked about in Reddit and in these third-party pages so that the AI pulls you at the top when people search now on Google. How has that evolution and change been for you?
So that's similar to building backlinks, getting other websites to mention you. That's how Google became Google back in the 90s. As they said, we're not looking at keywords because I could put keywords on my website and say I'm a dentist, and Google's like, wait, is Brandon really a dentist? We don't believe you. And we want to see that other websites are talking about you. So if I'm a dentist, I should be on like WebMD or Wikipedia or Yelp and all these local sites to show that I really am a dentist, or in health-related sites. AI is not really looking at backlinks, we're looking at mentions. So the more times your company is mentioned or your name is mentioned, that's a trust signal for them, because it's kind of the same thing with content nowadays. It's so easy to produce content with AI that the
Mhm.
LLMs are like, why should we trust this content? How do we know that you really are trustworthy, relevant, giving good information? And the backlinks or the mentions are those trust signals that let them know that you are really knowledgeable and should be shown in those results. But AI hasn't changed too much the fundamentals of SEO. It's changed how people search and how people engage with search or LLMs. But the fundamentals of SEO are still pretty much the same, even though there's all these new acronyms that are coming out, like GEO for generative engine optimization, or AEO, answer engine optimization. But it's
Oh,
still best practices, because Google was really like built for like questions and answers. People ask questions and you get an answer. And the AI's answer engine optimization is kind of the same thing, trying to answer questions that people have. So nowadays everyone's like, you got to add FAQs on your website, but that's been best practice for a long time, because people ask questions, especially with Siri, voice search, Alexa. People are speaking into their phones. And that kind of changed back in 2011 when the cell phones really hit hard, especially with the iPhone back in 2007 when that came out. But it took a while for people to adapt to it. But 2011, Google really changed their algorithm to try to understand the human language, because in the past, people just search, like if they're just searching for tennis shoes, they would type in tennis shoes. But now with voice search, they would say, where can I find the best tennis shoes near me? It's a whole different type of search where you're trying to understand the semantics of the human language.
and Brandon, in terms of also SEO optimizers, but looking at more in a more inward level, is it something? How many people do you have helping you out with this whole endeavor?
Right now, I have 5 people on the team, and then a lot of writers. So I still prefer to use human writers, but Google said 2 years ago, we don't care who writes content anymore. If it's AI or human, doesn't matter, because we can't tell the difference between AI and human content anymore. It just has to be accurate. AI is not accurate. It does AI hallucinations and makes things up all the time. And if you just copy the content verbatim from ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using and post it on your website, that's okay, but you have to really personalize it and double, triple, quadruple check it. And also you have to think
Okay.
your competition is probably doing the same thing. So how do you stand out and differentiate yourself? And writers are really important, or nowadays it's more editors to edit the content, make sure it flows, it reads properly, it's in the proper tone and voice, and speaks to the end user.
Okay. So then you have 5 people that are working with you, like permanently in SEO optimizers, and then you have like contractors that work as writers or editors or anything like that.
Yep, the main ones that work with me help with the backlinks, the outreach, because building backlinks is very tedious. And the way that I build backlinks is by blogging on other people's websites. That's one strategy. There's lots of ways to build backlinks. I also look at my competitors' backlinks using tools. We could see all of your backlinks or my backlinks, and I could look at my competitors and see who's linking out to my competition and try to reach out to them to see if they would link out to me. But the backlinks are one of the most important parts of SEO. It's probably where I spend at least like
Okay.
60 to 70% of my time is working on building good quality backlinks. And that means a lot of cold outreach, trying to reach out to websites to build relationships, even guest podcasting as a newer
Mm-hmm.
strategy, which is kind of the same as guest blogging. But now instead of blogging on
Okay.
other people's websites, I'm pitching myself and my clients to be guests on people's podcasts. Because if I'm on someone else's podcast and they publish it on their website, search engines will see that I'm on another person's website that's related to me, and that builds that backlink. And over the past couple of years, I've actually been a guest on over 300 podcasts, because it's helped out so much. I mean, having your own podcast is great. And I started out having my own podcast, but then I kind of shifted to being a guest on other people's podcasts, because I found a lot more value with those backlinks, which not many people realize. And I actually just finished writing a book 3 months ago about that exact topic. It's called The Power of Guest Podcasting. And it goes into how to use guest podcasting not only to help get content for social media and build trust and make yourself a subject matter expert, but to help with SEO, because a lot of people miss out on that low-hanging fruit where if they're a guest on someone's podcast, you should make sure that they include your website URL. And I see a lot of times where people don't do that, or like one of my clients, they were a guest on like 30 podcasts. Half of them didn't even mention their website URL. So we went in, reached out to all those podcast hosts, got them to update it and put their URL in. They got all these backlinks, and that's gotten them to move up those rankings and get more traffic. But it all takes time and it's tedious. So that's why having a team helps with that outreach.
And Brandon, in terms of the style of work for SEO optimizers, are you guys a completely remote company? Do you have all your team members in like the same country, or are you looking for talent outside as well?
So I was about to open an office in 2020. Everything shut down, and luckily I didn't open that office. But after that, I just realized just keep it remote for digital. Doesn't really need to have people in person, or I mean, it's nice to have people when I work in offices to collaborate, but for what I'm doing, you could just be a digital nomad and be work as long as you have a computer and internet access. Doesn't really matter where you're located. So I have people all over the US, and I have some people in other countries. I just help more with just the tedious tasks, but the writers, they're all based in the US because they have to really understand the nuances of the human language or of English and all the little nuances of every little area that people are in. If you're in the Midwest or in the West Coast, like the way people speak or slang terms are a little different. So just trying to make sure they pick up on that.
And in terms of AI within SEO optimizers, Brandon, have you devised or do you have any automations or things that you're doing AI to make your work easier? Or is this something that you're just looking at in terms of being relevant to the AI?
You want to be relevant, but you want to use AI as a tool, because if not, your competition is going to be using it and you're going to be falling behind, because nowadays everyone's using AI. But like I was saying earlier, those AI hallucinations are where you have to be careful. Like I think for content, I would have it start off with writing outlines instead of just saying, write me a blog post about this, which most people are just going to say, write me a blog post about this topic. It's going to be very generic. So making really long personalized prompts, starting off with like an outline and then personalizing that outline, tweaking it. And then if you want to have to write the content, but then still editing that content to make sure it's correct. That's one of the biggest things with AI that everyone's most likely using it for is content. It could also help coding, but that's where you have to be careful because sometimes it adds extra stuff or doesn't do things properly. So if you wanted to code your website or add SEO coding, you could do that, but got to make sure you have backups of your website enabled just in case, because literally if you add an extra space sometimes into code, it'll break the entire website. And we don't want that to happen.
And yeah, AI isn't at the level right now where it can actually just do things by itself and you can completely trust it. I like to say that it's just beginning to crawl and you need to make sure it's standing upright, that it's not falling over, just keeping like taking care of it and really reviewing and proofreading whatever it spits out, because it really is not that dependable. Even though it's super quick, it would be a dream if it worked as we all wish it did, but that's also something that keeps us relevant as well, because we need to be tutors and the final judges and curators of what the AI does. So I believe this is where we're actually more of in a partnership with it than if it's actually gonna take our job, for example, that everybody is just like going crazy about that. And Brandon, also, I would love to know, how many clients do you work with per month? And how long is that relationship you have with them? Is this just like a service you offer one time, or do you maintain those websites and keep like a little more of a long-term relationship with the clients you have?
You have to maintain those rankings, because once you get to that first page of Google, there's 10 spots on that first page of Google in the organic results. Once you get to the first page, someone falls off the first page. They're not going to be happy about it. And they're going to look at everything that I've done, just like I could see everything you've done with these tools to look at backlinks, keywords, and content. And they're going to try to outrank you. But it really comes down to the competition. The more competitive those keywords are, the more you have to maintain it. I mean, I have some clients where I worked with them for a couple months, got them to that first page of Google to the top, and they were happy because there wasn't much competition. Like, for example, one of them was, they did postpartum as a service for a parent or a woman that just had a baby in a really small city in Torrance, California, where I'm based at, or near where I live. Not much competition for that. So they got to that first page. There's probably only like 3 competitors. So they got up there and they were happy. But if you're like a restaurant in Los Angeles, thousands of restaurants, only 10 spots on that first page of Google. So we have to really maintain those rankings. And I've had people that have been on for like 8 years that have stuck around, or some people that just get to that first page, they're happy, and then they'll stop. And then a few months later, like, oh, wait, I fell down because my competition outranked me. Let's come back and get me back to the top. But it really varies with that competition. The less competition, the easier it is. Just like I was mentioning earlier, like if you have a lot of competition, it's going to be really tough. But finding those niche aspects helps differentiate you, and then you'll stay up much longer. For the most part, you're not just going to drop down. Google doesn't just drop people down, but your competition is going to kind of fight for those spots.
I would love to know as well as like a final question, and that is, now that we've reached the beginning of Q2 in 2026, what are your goals as the owner of SEO Optimizers towards the end of this year? What would you like to accomplish?
Well, I just launched that book, which I was working on that book for 4 years. I'm not the best at writing, and I've always thought about writing a book, but I was just like, I don't know what to write about. Everyone writes about SEO, and then the guest podcasting. I was like, I've been on so many guest spots that most people haven't really done that or thought about from an SEO point of view. So now that the book launched, marketing it actually hit bestseller the first week that it launched on Amazon, which was pretty amazing. But now got to work on the audiobook and just getting the book out there to the world. So now just trying to work more on that guest podcasting and spreading the word about it, which is why I'm on these shows. It was initially for the backlinks. Now I'm like, maybe I should talk about my book now that I launched it, because it's the perfect place. If you have guests on your shows, then they need to understand that SEO value and really try to tap into it to maximize their reach. But just want to keep growing the agency, but really looking more into that guest podcasting, kind of tapping into that more.
I really value how you're looking at this, because it's like you wrote a book talking about the expertise you have in the industry and the area that you're working in. So it really provides and gives you more credibility, and it's like a positive retro feedback loop. Like you're a guest in podcast and you have your own book, then you sell this service and you're just proving yourself constantly that it works. And you're applying your own methodology. So congratulations for that. And I'm sure it's going to go well, man, towards the end of the year. So it'll be amazing.
Thank you. No, I'm excited to see what the rest of the year holds in store for this. Just want to keep it going and going.
And before I do close out the whole show, Brandon, I did want to give you the space to let anybody who is hearing us know, how could they contact SEO Optimizers if they're interested in the service that you're providing, if they liked what they heard, if they want to see if their company is a good fit to what you're offering? What would be the best method to reach you?
I actually created a special gift for everybody. If you go to my website at SEOoptimizers.com/gift, that's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. And you can find that gift there along with my contact information and classes I've done over the years. I've thrown up for free. So you can see step by step how to do a lot of stuff that we just talked about. And also, if you do have a website, I'm happy to check it out from an SEO point of view, and you could book some time on my calendar there as well. And also for the book, if you are interested in the book, you can just search guest podcasting on Amazon and it is at the top. I did some SEO to make sure it ranks there. And that's something that I feel like anyone that's listening that wants to be a guest or thought about it, it's going to be the perfect step by step on how to find podcasts, how to strategize it, and everything I've learned, all the mistakes and errors I've learned over the years, and how to just hone in on have a good interview.
That is amazing, man. And anybody who is hearing us, then don't lose the opportunity for the gift that Brandon has just provided and mentioned. Just make sure to go to SEOoptimizers.com/gift and check that out. Also, check out the book on Amazon, Guest Podcasting, and just make sure to let us know in the comments if you read it, if you like it, if you felt that it was useful. But other than that, Brandon, thank you so much, man, for your time, for telling us your story, your insights, and everything about what you're doing. We really appreciate it. So thank you. No problem at all, man. And to anybody who is here with us as well and listening, we really appreciate you as well for coming on these shows to learn all about the different personalities we're talking to and about all the different industries that we are seeing. So with that said, have a good one.